Stinkin thinkin is real. Hi, I'm Dr. Trent Hipper with Restoration Chiropractic, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about how your thinking affects your health, particularly your spinal health. Now, when it comes to emotional, cognitive, spiritual beliefs, these actually have a big impact and really set the stage for your physical health and also for other parts emotionally and spiritually. Now, this is often overlooked or misunderstood of how this part of your life actually affects your physical health and emotional health. But that's why we're going to dive into some of the research and some of the clinical studies that I think you'll find fascinating and proves just how important your emotional health and belief systems are for your overall health and spinal health. So let me kind of jump into, here's some clinical studies. So at Harvard University, women in a mind-body support group for infertility conceived 44% of the time, opposed to 8 to 10% of the rates that didn't have this support group. And interesting enough, 80% of men with hypertension or high blood pressure in a mind-body group also were able to decrease their medication, while 16% are able to drop their antihypertensive medication completely. This is very, very important and intriguing to show you just having this support emotionally, cognitively, and also spiritually. I want to go over some other research too. So research shows spiritual belief increases your longevity and protects you against illness. I even also read research showing that somebody who has a belief system or religion, if you will, have a 30 to 30% higher likelihood of living longer. And I think this ties into because it's an emotional component of not knowing that you're right or wrong, but you're living for something bigger and better than yourselves. Also, I wanted to note here some other research on blood pressure and immunity. The origin of hypertension or high blood pressure is believed to partially be emotionally related. This creates a perceived emotional distress in most people's paradigm in life today because they're chronically stressed from schedules, finances, relationships, and just whatever else the landscape of culture has today that imparts some type of belief upon them. Now, how does this tie into your spinal health and overall health? Well, your brain and your nervous system perceive your environment. And if it perceives it to be a threat, based off of programs that you've learned in your childhood, whether good, bad, and indifferent, it will create this perception of how you emotionally interact with the world, socially, and also spiritually, how you look at the world as a large, bigger, and outside of yourself. Now, most people, when they have unresolved trauma, whether it's physically, sexually, or emotionally from their childhood, whether from caretakers, parents, siblings, this belief system that was taught to them in said scenarios or events is how they perceive situations when it comes to their own emotional health and worth and self-esteem overall. Now, how this plays into your spinal health is when we are triggered from unresolved trauma, this creates the fight or flight response in the body. This fight or flight response activates the HPA axis system. That's the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis system. What that means is it produces stress hormones. Stress hormones then release and have an effect on the physicality of your body from the emotional thought process that you think you're literally fighting a bear, fleeing from a bear, or just in danger. Now, chronically that continues on and these patterns don't change. This elicits more of this physiological response on a cellular level, and then that affects other tissues, and that also impacts your nervous system and your spine because it creates these shifts, whether it's hormonally, or also structurally. And then that impacts your overall health, because spinal health is overall health. Now, for more helpful health tips, go ahead, like us and follow us. And if this was important, or you know somebody that this would be valuable to share with, go ahead and hit that share button. When it comes to your health, you're worth it.